Hundreds are dead after a London-bound passenger plane crashed in Western India. The Air India flight carrying 242 people came down less than a minute after taking off from Ahmedabad International Airport, bursting into flames on impact.
It felt like an earthquake. I came out and saw smoke and the crashed plane. There were bodies everywhere.
53 of the passengers were British nationals, making it one of the worst aviation disasters for British citizens in history.
Our hearts and our thoughts are absolutely with the friends and families of all those affected who are going to be absolutely devastated by this awful news.
I'm at Gatwick Airport, where Flight AI171 had been due to land in the last few minutes. Investigators are recovering the black box, which may tell us the cause of this deadly disaster and what happened in those final critical moments. Amid the tragedy, an extraordinary moment of hope. One survivor, a British father who somehow walked away from the wreckage. He describes his ordeal from hospital, and we hear from his family.
When the plane crashed, he video called my dad saying, "Oh, the plane's crashed." I'm not sure how I made out of the plane. He was confused and everything.
Also on the programme tonight, the parents calling for more protection for kids in combat sports after their 15-year-old died following a kickboxing contest. And we're with Wales in Antarctica as we continue our special series on the impact of climate change on the region.
This is ITV Evening News with Mary Nightingale from Gatwick Airport and Charlene White from the studio.
Good evening from Gatwick, where just 5 minutes ago Air India Flight 171 had been scheduled to land. Instead, just moments after takeoff from Ahmedabad International Airport, the aircraft plummeted to the ground and burst into flames. At first, it seemed certain that all 242 passengers and crew had died. But remarkably, it has emerged that one man, a British citizen, survived the impact and the inferno that followed. He was one of 53 British passengers on board the flight. The Boeing 787 Dreamliner came down on a doctor's hostel in a densely populated residential area of the city. Now, pictures from the scene show parts of the fuselage embedded in a building. It's still not known what caused the flight to fail or indeed how many people may have died. Air India described it as a tragic accident. Here, the King said he was desperately shocked. The Prime Minister called it devastating. In just a moment, we will have the latest live from Ahmedabad. We'll also hear reaction from some of the Indian community in the UK, and we'll look at what may have caused the disaster. But first, our international editor, Emma Murphy, has the latest on the crash and a warning. Her report contains footage of the aircraft exploding, which you may well find upsetting.
Air India Flight 171 began taxiing down the runway at Ahmedabad Airport just after 9 a.m. British time. The 242 people on board prepared for their 9.5-hour flight to the UK. They should have landed at Gatwick around now, but seconds into their journey, the plane lost altitude. The Boeing 787 Dreamliner, laden with fuel, exploded on impact just beyond the runway. From afar, the smoke pointed to a tragedy of huge magnitude. From close by, the scale of the devastation left little hope that anyone could have survived. The dead, not just those on board, but also those on the ground.
I was sitting at home and there was a loud noise. It felt like an earthquake. I came out and saw smoke and the crashed plane. There were bodies everywhere.
Amidst the wreckage, the bodies and the reminders of the earlier normality of the flight. food trolleys, water bottles, the blanket of a traveller. It's thought amongst the dead there are at least 53 British nationals. Somehow one passenger did survive. Vishwash Ramesh from the Midlands had been in seat 11A. He said around 30 seconds into the flight he heard a bang, and when he next opened his eyes he was surrounded by his fellow passengers, all of whom were dead. He was pulled from the wreckage and hospitalised. His cousin told us his brother is still missing.
So we spoke to Vishwash just about half an hour ago. He was on bed. You could see the scars and he was literally bleeding at the moment. We tried basically telling him, look, make sure your willpower's there. And the words that came up from Vishwash's mouth was, look, I'm fine, but please find Ajay.
The Indian authorities say at least 290 people were killed. When Flight 171 fell from the sky, it landed on a medical hall of residents. The tail fin embedded in the side of the building. The dining room tells of the rush to escape. The meals abandoned as people ran for their lives, with the plane heading directly for them. This woman's son was in the building at the time. He rang her from the hospital to tell how he leapt from a second-floor window when he realised the plane was seconds from impact. As the Indian, British and Portuguese governments warned to prepare for significant loss of life, families arrived at nearby hospitals to try and find news of those they loved on the plane and on the ground. The British government has now sent teams to India.
Our hearts and our thoughts are absolutely with the friends and families of all those affected who are going to be absolutely devastated.
Investigators from around the world will now begin their work to establish how the Dreamliner came to crash, as those who mourn face the dreadful new reality of their lives. Emma Murphy, ITV News.
OK, well, let's get some more detail now about where exactly this happened. Ahmedabad is a huge city in the state of Gujarat, Western India, and is a popular route for Gujaratis travelling between India and the UK. The flight took off from Ahmedabad International Airport at 1:39 p.m. local time. Fully laden with fuel, it crashed just seconds after takeoff into a densely populated residential area. Well, ITV News journalist Sanjay Jha is in Ahmedabad for us this evening. Sanjay, what is the situation there where you are tonight?
Well, I am just close by to the hospital where most of the bodies are being for the post-mortem, and the authorities here have started the DNA sampling. As you know, it's one of the worst air accidents in the recent time in India, and the government has officially announced more than 290 people have died. Unfortunate part of this accident was that it fell on a medical college hostel around the lunchtime. So there were lots of medical aspirants, in that hall, and it has also affected them badly. There are reports of more than 25 medical aspirants injured, and many of them have also died here. So it's a very, very bad situation here for the Gujarat. And Gujarat has a historical connection with the UK. It's the biggest diaspora in UK. And so most of these people were either based in London or Indians who are working in London. So there are lots of relatives who are distraught, and, you can see them crying outside the hospital, trying to find information about their dead ones. So it's a very, very unfortunate and tragic situation here in Ahmedabad.
Sanjay Jha in Ahmedabad, thank you. Well, here, the British Indian community have been supporting each other following today's tragic events as they anxiously await news. Prayers and services are being held at many mosques and temples. Here's Amy Lewis on how people are pulling together, even as they fear the worst.
On days like this, it is silent contemplation that speaks the loudest. In prayer, they are remembering those who died and those left grieving.
It's been a very somber day. We heard the news coming out of India, and it's very devastating. So people are in a sort of vacuum, and so therefore they look to places like the temple to give them that strength and support.
Neasden in northwest London has the largest Hindu temple in Britain. The borough is home to a large Indian population. This evening, special prayers are going to be held here to remember those who have died. This is something that will be happening all over the country in the coming days. Indian national Vijay Rupani was one of those who tragically lost his life. In Leicester, they have been remembering a close friend.
Very sad news about very tragic accident, and we are really saddened. There are a lot of people from UK, all nationality.
At this temple in Crawley in West Sussex, they're still waiting to hear if they have lost loved ones.
As you can see, there's not many people who've turned up today because they're still trying to understand whether any of their family members were on board.
We are at the airport, just boarding.
Before the plane took off, this couple spoke about their trip of a lifetime to India. Fingal and Jamie Greenlaw-Meek ran a wellness centre in London. But they, like many others, never made it home. Communities all across the country are feeling their loss. Amy Lewis, ITV News.
It is the first time a Boeing 787 Dreamliner has crashed, and investigators are going to be looking at a wide range of possible causes. Our correspondent John Ray is in the studio with more details on what we know so far. John.
Mary, this catastrophe overtook Air India Flight 171 in just a few seconds. The investigation now underway will be painstaking. The aircraft was a state-of-the-art Boeing Dreamliner with an excellent safety record. As we've been hearing, the flight was cleared to take off from Ahmedabad Airport at 13:39 local time and climbed to 625 feet, just under 200 metres, when disaster struck. A mayday call was received by air traffic control, but thereafter there was no response. The aircraft crashed just beyond the airport perimeter into a doctor's hostel. So how did this happen? Well, this video offers crucial clues. Experts say that we've spoken to that there's no evidence here of a single engine failure. And in any case, a Dreamliner should have been able to continue its takeoff. So could both engines have failed? Perhaps from a double bird strike? That's been one early theory. But there was no smoke from the engines, and such incidents are extraordinarily rare. But experts say that the video appears to show something unexpected. The landing gear is still down when they expect it to be up at this point in the flight. And crucially, the flaps deployed along the wing to give the aircraft extra lift during takeoff seem to have been retracted. Just why is now a vital question.
It's very, very unusual for something like this to happen. And if, in fact, the flaps were not in the correct position, that's a pretty clear indication of the reason that it was sinking instead of climbing. Now, of course, then there becomes the issue of why that might be the case.
Now, definitive answers are likely to be contained in the aircraft's black box flight recorder, housed at the back of the aircraft, which survived the impact relatively intact. On it will be recorded every detail of a brief flight which ended with such appalling loss of life. Mary.
John, thank you. The King reflected the thoughts of many today, describing his shock at what had happened and expressing his deepest sympathy to those affected. The Foreign Office has set up a helpline for any concerned relatives of those who may have been on board. Now, UK editor Paul Brand is here. Paul, this is obviously an appalling situation. Your heart has to go out to people who are desperately worried about family and friends tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. And while this crash happened many thousands of miles away in India, there is absolutely no doubt that for Britain this will be one of the worst disasters in modern history. 52 British nationals assumed to have died. That makes this the worst air disaster for Britain since 67 British nationals died in 9/11. Many of those feeling this anxiety most acutely tonight will be from the Gujarati community of the United Kingdom. Many hundreds of thousands of people here have links to that part of West India, and tonight we are just getting the names of some of the British nationals who have sadly died in this air crash. Among them, Gloucester Muslim community has posted on Facebook to say that Akil Nanabawa is one of the men who has died, alongside his wife Hannah and also their 4-year-old daughter Sarah. Akil was originally from Newport in Wales, so has links as well, of course, to that part of the country. And Gloucester Muslim community have added, during this moment of overwhelming sorrow, our hearts go out to all those left behind. As you mentioned, the King has sent his condolences tonight too. Of course, he's also head of the Commonwealth. India is a member of the Commonwealth, and he says, "My wife and I have been desperately shocked by the terrible events in Ahmedabad this morning. Our special prayers and deepest possible sympathy are with the families and friends of all those affected by this appallingly tragic incident across so many nations." If you are worried tonight, there is a number to phone. It is a Foreign Office number, 0207 008 5000. That's 0207 008 5000 if you need consular assistance or you're worried about friends or family. But given the scenes that we are seeing now in Ahmedabad this evening, I'm afraid there aren't going to be many reassuring answers to those phone calls.
OK, Paul, for the moment, thank you. And as Paul said, the Foreign Office says those who are concerned can call a hotline. I'll give you the number again. It's 0207 0085 000, 0207 0085 000. I'm live at Gatwick Airport, where Air India 171 was due to land tonight. Officials here are setting up a reception centre to give information and support to relatives of those affected. Now, it was originally thought that everyone on board had perished, but, and as we mentioned earlier, a British man somehow survived the disaster. Now, video shows Vishwash Kumar Ramesh walking away from the crash and into an ambulance. He is now being treated in hospital. His brother, who lives in Leicester, told ITV News that their other brother, Ajay, is still missing. He says he has no idea how Vishwash survived. Sangeeta Lal has the story of this extraordinary escape.
This is Ramesh, minutes after the plane crash. Holding his phone, he's just called his dad and told him he somehow survived, but that he can't find his brother. Limping to get treatment, all he has on him is his phone and boarding pass of a flight that was meant to bring him and his younger brother home. Friends and relatives gathered in the family street in Leicester.
Who's he on the phone to?
Oh, Vishwash.
As we arrived, they were on the phone to Ramesh, who they call Vishwash. His brother says they're just trying to stay in constant contact.
What have you heard?
What we've heard from the media is apparently he's the only survivor. We don't have any other updates from my other brother. We were ringing his phone. It's ringing, but there's no contact.
What has Vishwash said to you?
When the plane crashed, he's like, I can't see my other brother. I don't see any other passengers or anything. They were both sat on the exit doors.
When did you last speak to Ajay?
I last spoke to him yesterday afternoon. He's like, I'll see you tomorrow. Those were his last words to me. I was supposed to go and pick him up at Gatwick Airport today.
Are they your brothers?
Yeah, the middle one's Ajay, and then the photo on the right, that's both of them, Ajay and Vishwash.
They'd both been on holiday to see family. Within 5 minutes of taking off, though, their flight home crashed. Vishwash suffered injuries to his chest and cuts to his face, but his family say he's doing well and just keeps asking about his other brother.
How does he sound?
Sounds strong and well.
How are your family?
Even though he survived, yeah, it's a miracle. Like, still worried about our other brother, my other brother.
Earlier today, the Indian Home Minister visited Vishwash getting treatment. His family hope to join him in hospital tomorrow and are desperate for answers about where their other brother is. Sangeeta Lal, ITV News, Leicester.
Well, our correspondent Lucy Watson is out by the runway here. And Lucy, this route from Ahmedabad to Gatwick is a really popular one, isn't it?
That's right, Mary. Every single week, about 5 flights operate from Ahmedabad to here at Gatwick Airport. This is a regular routine flight. Similarly, from Heathrow Airport, the UK has close ties with the state of Gujarat. Unsurprisingly, however, no Air India flights operated either into Gatwick Airport or out of it today. Now, just a short time ago, at the perimeter fence just there, a mother and son laid some flowers. Such is the effect that it has had on the local community, an air crash of this magnitude. Now, inside the airport itself, from early this morning, they were operating what they called reception centres, and they were kind of like support and information points for relatives and for family members. Also locally nearby, the Muslim Council of Britain set up a similar kind of crisis centre, offering bereavement support to anybody of any faith. Now, the Foreign Office itself has set up crisis teams, has established crisis teams in both Delhi and in London, and tonight a team of air accident inspectors will travel from London over to Gujarat State to help with that huge operation, that huge investigation, as too will a team from the US. Now, the British government has set up an all-important helpline. Now, let me give you that number. It will go across your screen now. That is 0207 008 5000. 0207 008 5000. And that is for anybody with any concerns about what may or may not have happened to their loved ones.
Thank you, Lucy, and we'll keep you up to date on ITVX and also on our website. That's itv.com/news. Well, we end the programme tonight with more on the Air India disaster. Flight AI171 was due to land here at Gatwick earlier this evening, but it crashed seconds after takeoff from Ahmedabad International Airport. 242 passengers and crew were on board. Remarkably, one British man survived. But it's still not clear how many died on the flight or indeed in the residential area where it crashed and exploded. Our UK editor Paul Brand is here with a final thought. Paul.
Well, Mary, anyone hoping to arrive here at Gatwick Airport tonight to greet loved ones from that flight from Ahmedabad is instead being directed to a private place where they can grieve for them. A family reception centre has been set up here at the South Terminal. The vast majority of those who've been killed today are Indian nationals, but the 52 British nationals who we assume have died in this crash make this one of the worst disasters in modern history for the United Kingdom. And tonight we are beginning to get more of the names of some of those victims who've died. Just to recap 3 of the names that we gave earlier in the programme: Akil Nanabawa, Hannah Nanabawa, and also their 4-year-old daughter Sarah are now confirmed to have died. They were from Gloucestershire, Akil originally from Newport in South Wales. The Foreign Office is still saying tonight, phone them if you've got any concerns about family or friends. While family and friends look for answers, of course, investigators are also heading to India tonight from Britain. We are a major part now of this international investigation into why the flight crashed just seconds after taking off from Ahmedabad Airport. But really, I think the story of the coming hours, the coming days and the coming weeks is going to be the names, the faces, the memories of those victims who have died, and the remarkable story of that one sole survivor who was from Britain.
Miraculous, really cool, thank you. And that's all for now. Julie will have the latest on the Air India disaster on News at 10, but from me and the team here at Gatwick, and from Charlene and of course the team in the studio, bye-bye.